Well, today is August 24th, 2016, and we are interviewing Mychal Bush King at Taylorville. Mychal is 24 years old, having been born on June 1st, 1992. And my name is Sue Burkholder, and I will be the interviewer. Mychal, would you please state for the recording in what war and what branch of service that you served?
I was in Afghanistan, and I served the United States Marine Corps.
Okay, great. Well, I'd like to start with where you were born, a little bit about that, or where you were born and maybe your parents and siblings.
Yes, ma'am. I was born in Carbondale, Illinois, like I said, June 1st, 1992. I am the oldest boy out of 10 total kids. My mom's Stephanie Blackledge and my father is Mychal Bush King the first. My oldest sister being 26, my youngest sister being 6, and I have a 5-year-old daughter.
And did you have any of your other family members that served in the military?
Yes, I currently have an aunt. She's stationed in Iwakuni, Japan. She's been in the Navy for 23, 24 years now. My grandfather was in the Marine Corps. My uncle was in the Marine Corps. I have a couple cousins that are in the Air Force. My father served in the National Guard and the Navy, both.
And what were you doing before you entered the service? And what was your thinking and the reason that you decided to join?
Well, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a 4-sport athlete in high school, and then I just kind of decided, well, I guess I'm going to join the military. And at first I was like, I'm not joining the Marine Corps because all they do is brainwash you. And then I had some influence from a guy that was older than me, a year older than me. He kind of influenced me. He came home from boot camp on September 11, 2009. And September 16, 2009, I was in the Marine Corps, or in the MEPS program enlisting. So he kind of influenced me to join, and been going at it ever since then.
So you've joined and you've signed on the dotted line, and you're heading to basic training. What were your thoughts, and how was that first day or two of basic training?
I wasn't scared of boot camp at all because I knew physically I could do it, mentally I could do it. What scared me the most about it was the flight from St. Louis to San Diego. So we get on the plane and everything, and the flight attendants asked us what we were doing. And we're like, oh, we're all going to boot camp. And she's like, oh, well, have you guys flown before? Everyone else raised their hand. I'm like, this is my first flight, and I'm scared to death. So we touched down in San Diego, and as you land in San Diego, right there on the runway is the Marine Corps recruit depot. And they announced that there were 6 of us join the Marine Corps and getting ready to start our journey. And they told us, well, there's one guy, this is his first flight, and he was scared to death, and everyone gave him a round of applause because he made it.
And how did that make you feel?
It made me feel good about myself, knowing that being scared of heights is my biggest fear.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that I just completed one of the biggest fears of my life, I knew boot camp would be a breeze for me.
Okay. And how was the whole process? Did it meet your expectations?
It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was a lot less, but nonetheless, it was still an awesome experience. You meet some of my best friends still to this day. I met in boot camp. I still talk to them, and they told me, hey, you can go back, start all over right now, go back to boot camp. And I say, I've been the first thing smoking out of here.
Mm-hmm. What about, so you've made lasting friendships, that's good. What about, just a little bit about your daily life during basic training? The food, what did you do for entertainment, those type of things?
Well, in boot camp there was no entertainment until the last week, but I'll get to that. So we woke up, reveille was about 04 every morning. Drill instructors come, yelling, lights, 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 get up, get online. Mm-hmm. And you stand on line, and then you would count. Make sure everyone in the platoon or in the squad was there. Mm-hmm. And then port side or port side being your left side, starboard being your right. They'd say port side in the washroom, which means you're going to go brush your teeth and shave. You shave every morning, brush your teeth every morning. And the other side is getting dressed. And then they say you have 300 seconds, but when they say 300 seconds, it's 300 drill instructor seconds. And they count 99, 99, 97, 96. They count that fast. So 300 seconds seems like a long time, but when they're counting their way, it's maybe a minute, maybe a little less. So you'll get up, you go to chow, you come back, and then just depending on what phase you're in. Phase 1, it's a lot of classroom. And you're mainly learning about the history of the Marine Corps, different jobs and everything. And then phase 2, you go up to Camp Pendleton, where it's more of your rifle shooting, you're being out in the field, pretty much becoming a Marine. Third phase, you come back, do a little bit of fire watch and stuff, and then the end of third phase is Marine Week, or take that back. The week before Marine Week, you go up to Camp Pendleton again, and it's called the Reaper, and it is a 76-hour gut check. I mean, you get in those 76 hours, you get probably a total maybe 6 hours of sleep for those 3 nights. It's up all night long doing different drills, shooting at night, unknown distances, and then at the very end, it's about a 8 to 10 hour hike up the Reaper Hill, and it's almost vertical. And when you get on top of the Reaper, they used to do it. That's when you got your hemoglobin anchor. That's when you officially became a Marine. But now you get to the top of the Reaper, you get well, I was in there in the wintertime, so they gave us a hot cider and everything. We hiked back down to Camp Pendleton, and then we got on the parade deck, and your senior drill instructor, who was the head drill instructor out of everyone in your platoon, he would hand you your hemoglobin anchor, and that's when you officially became a Marine. And there's plenty of videos on that on YouTube and everything, and you can just see how wore down the guys are after the 76 hours in the hike. And you just see they're totally teared. I mean, everyone's crying because you finally accomplished something that not a whole lot of people have done. So it's a really good feeling. When you're done with that, the next day, if you're a contract PFC, you get your first set of chevrons. And I was a contract PFC, meaning I had a couple guys enlist after me that said I would refer them to the Marine Corps. When I got my first set of PFC chevrons put on my shoulders, it was unbelievable. It's like something you would never think to experience. And when Gunnery Sergeant Daniel was his name, he was my senior drill instructor. He put my chevrons on and he said, "Congratulations, PFC." And it's just, I don't know, I can't describe the feeling it was. Well, after that, you go to the Warriors Breakfast, and like you mentioned in chow. Well, chow is not very good throughout boot camp the whole time. It's enough just to get you by. Well, the Warriors Breakfast, it's biscuits and gravy, it's pancakes, it's eggs, it's sausage, it's anything you can think of. And you can usually in chow you only get to go back get one tray. Well, the Warriors Breakfast, you get as many trays as you want. And throughout boot camp the whole time, you don't refer to the drill instructors as Gunnery Sergeant Daniel. It'd be Senior Drill Instructor Gunnery Sergeant Daniel. Well, during the Reaper, you, instead of saying "aye, aye, sir," you would just say "guest Gunnery Sergeant." You refer to them by their rank. So they lose their campaign covers and they go back to their 8-point coverage just like you are. They're learning. They're teaching you that you're a Marine now. I mean, you don't have to. You're not a robot anymore. Because in boot camp, you feel like a robot. You can no longer say I, me, or we. It's this recruit, that recruit, or these recruits. So say this recruit requests permission to make a head call. Most guys would say, "I need to use a bathroom," and the drill instructors, they would smoke you for that and IT you, and then they just teach you it's not about you anymore. It's a group thing. So they lose their campaign coverage and give their 8 points. Well, during the Warriors Breakfast, they sit down, they eat with you, they talk with you, and you don't know how to react to it because you're so used for the 13 weeks prior saying "aye, aye, drill instructor," or "aye, aye, gunnery sergeant." Now it's just completely different. And I remember coming off the Reaper hike, I hurt my hip, and after I got my hemoglobin anchor, my senior drill instructor said, "Don't worry, Marine, now you'll get taken care of." And I was like, what's he mean by that? Well, I walked in our squad bay, and his name was Staff Sergeant Kiso. He's one of my drill instructors, and he's a gunnery sergeant now. He said, "Morning, devil dog." And that's the first time being an official Marine that another Marine's called me a devil dog. And it's just like, wow, I really am a Marine now. So when that's all done, you pack back up and you go back to down to Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego. That's your Marine week. That's when you are getting fitted for your blues, getting fitted for all your uniforms and everything. And the very last day, second to last day, is family day. You're in your dress Charlies, and your family comes, and you get to spend the whole day with them. You get to walk them around MCRD, show them where have you stayed at and everything. Well, then that night, right before, because the following day is graduation. Well, that night, that was called a gong show, and the recruits, well, the new Marines, they imitate drill instructors and everything. And we had, I mean, that was our entertainment from the whole time of boot camp that was our entertainment right there. And some of the stuff the drill instructor said, you didn't really think about it, because other guys remembered it, and when they imitated the drill instructor saying it, I mean, even the drill instructors start busting up laughing. So that's another, being able to laugh with the guys that just trained you how to become a Marine. And then graduation day, when your senior drill instructor says platoon 3,221 dismissed, it's like hairs on your arms stand up, and you just go around hugging everyone like you're done, you've done it. And then from there, you go home for your leave. I got lucky. I had 24 days of leave because I graduated boot camp on December 10th, 2010. So usually you get 10 days of leave. Well, I would have came back on the 20th, but with Christmas and New Year's being there, we had extended leave, so we were home for, I think it was actually 23 days is what we ended up being home for. And it was just, like I said, it's just an unbelievable experience going from civilian, the 13 weeks of boot camp, and then your senior drill instructor dismissing you.
Wide range of emotions.
It very was.
So, okay, so you're done with your leave now. You've got to visit with family and just have some downtime. Then where do you go?
From there, you go to School of Infantry training, and it's done bad. It was your first, let's see, it was 8 weeks. So the first 4 weeks is your basic infantry training, which you have SOI, School of Infantry, and MCT, which is Marine Combat Training. Anyone that had an 03 contract, which was infantry, they went to SOI. Anyone else, they went to MCT. The first 4 weeks is the exact same as MCT, and that's just your basic Marine skills. After that, you get, if you're in SOI, you hit what's called the split, and that's if you go from basic 03, 0311, and then you get your weapons. Like you have 0331, which is machine gunner, 0341, which is mortarman, 0351, which is an assaultman, and 0352, which is your anti-tank missiles. I was 0341 mortarman, so when we hit the split, all the weapons guys went to a different squad bay, and all your 0311s, they went to another squad bay. Well, while the 11s, they're out in the field for the whole week. They leave Monday morning, go out to the field till Friday afternoon. Weapons is more classes because you got to learn specific in and out of your weapon system. And with being mortars, you have not only just your 60 millimeter mortar, but you also have to learn the 81 millimeter mortar, which is the bigger mortar too. Machine gunners, they had the 240 Bravo, the Mark 19, and the 50 cal, the M2 50 cal. Your assaultmen, they had, I mean, AT4s, but mainly 11s use those. Your what's it called? A small, which is it's another rocket launcher, and a law, which is law on the AT4. A lot of the 11s they use that, and the main thing the 51s use, which is the small. And I don't really know a whole lot about 52s because that's weapons company. We were in a line company, but the 51s, 31s, or 41s, they operate together in the same platoon. Once you get to SOI, though, when you initially get there, you meet all these other Marines, staff sergeants, a couple corporals. So they divide you up into your platoons, and the very first day, that next day, you go out and run a PFT. I think this is really crazy because there's this one guy. His last name was Minigoats. He was Navajo. He was so fast, he ran a 15-minute 3-mile. He was so fast that they made us run another one the following day because they thought he cheated. And he ended up running another 15-minute 3-mile, and they realized, well, no, he ran the whole thing. So after they figured that out, that's when how they based your PT off of, is your fastest guy and your slowest guy. That way, the fastest guy, he doesn't lose his speed, but your slowest guy, he's not completely drained and wore out. But after you get, I'm jumping back and forth, sorry, but at the split, you do a lot of, we call them gun drills, which is you learn how to set up your weapon, how to take it down. Because I don't know a whole lot about the machine guns and the assaultmen because I didn't do a whole lot with them. But the mortars, there's 5 steps to setting the gun up, and doing a gunner's exam, you have to do all those the steps under, man, it's been a minute since I messed with a gun. 40 seconds, I think, and doing gun drills all day long will wear you out. And they always say it pays to be a winner, because if you're the first gun up, the other gun teams, they have to pick up their whole system and take off running. They'll run 100 yards and turn around and sprint back. Now, if you win, you don't have to run until there's two gun teams left, and they say it pay to be a winner. So you wanna study, not just study the knowledge that comes with the gun, but when you have the time to get hands on with the gun, you really want to make sure you're paying attention. With being in weapons, though, like I said, there's a lot of classroom time. I was a section leader of my class, and my class, as far as I knew, we set the record with GPA of the 60s and the 81. The 60s we had a 99.8, and the 81s I think it was a 99.6, and that's the highest GPA ever to come through School of Infantry. And that felt good for me because, like I said, I was the section leader, so I was in charge of all these other guys. And our squad leader, I take that back. He was a section leader, I was a squad leader. That's how it goes. And he'd tell me, okay, this is what I want done. So I would tell the guys, okay, this is the homework we have. And when it came test time, if they didn't do it, then it would show in their reflection of their test. But like I said, we scored a 99.8 and 99.6. Our guys, they really studied, and he was really appreciative of how much effort we put into it, and I was too, because that made me feel better about myself.
Right. So you're already having some good accomplishments during your training. Sounds like you're advancing and taking some leadership and have leadership ability in that. So as you go through the advanced training and get to the end of that, then what was your first duty station?
Oh, so we graduated SOI and everything, and they don't tell us where we were going at first. And the only thing I knew was 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines was going to Afghanistan. And I'm calling my mom, telling her, hey, we just graduated, we don't know where we're going yet. Please pray that I don't go to 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. I was like, I don't want to go just yet. I'm not ready. So they're going through the list, and then they say Bush King, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines Golf Company. I'm like, wow, here I am, not even a year in the Marine Corps yet, and I'm already going to Afghanistan. So I said, well, let's do this. So they come, SOI was right here, and then over the hill was San Mateo, where 5th Marine Regiment was. And so they came, picked us up in a bus. As soon as we get there, we meet all of our senior Marines. And by senior Marine, I mean senior Lance Corporals. And it's total hell. Like, their job is to, your knowledge, but their job is to break you down, just to help build you up again, just like the drill instructors did. So we go through all the training, the pre-deployment training and everything, and we go to 29 Palms and do EMV Mojave Viper. I always heard about range 400, it's a gut check, whatever. Well, when I finally did range 400, I realized why they say it's a gut check, because it's no joke, a full-on sprint for probably an hour and a half range, where you're constantly picking up your system and running with it. Having a bag full of mortar rounds it's not light at all. And of course, me being the junior Marine, my senior Marine didn't want to carry anything, so I got stuck with the load, and they called me their workhorse because I was strong. So they made sure that I had everything that I could handle. And we finally get done, and the training there, that's the most realistic training that you can get, because not only with the range 400 EMV, but we had all these mountain towns we went to, and the mountain towns had role players. Well, these role players were actual people from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Iran, all those Middle Eastern countries. And so I'm thinking, well, some of these guys could actually be terrorists and we not know it. But so not only did we have those mountain towns where it was real, I say real live, but we shot blanks. They had this thing called the Hell House, and so an IED goes off, a Humvee blows up. Well, you go up to it, and they have actual guys that are amputees, and it looks like they really just lost their leg. And I was a combat lifesaver, so it was my job to go up and treat the victim. So I had to go up, and when I first seen it, I was like, oh my God, this is real, it's not fake. And they told me, they're like, it's gonna be so realistic, you're not gonna believe it's fake. And I just remember looking down and seeing his leg not there, and just seeing like blood was actually dripping out of it. They teach you where to put your knee for the pressure points and stop the blood flow and everything. And after that, I even asked myself, I was like, are you sure that was not real? And the guy came up to us and he talked to us, and he said, you, out of everyone in your company, you were the one who put the tourniquet on me the quickest, because they're counting too, because they know it takes 60 seconds to bleed out from a femoral injury. So he tells me, and after he tells me that the quickest one, again, I feel good about myself, like I'm gonna do good in this. And let's see what else. I mean, EMV is just, it was so realistic that once we got over the country, it was just, it's like, okay, well, I've seen all this, I've done all this before, I'm pretty sure I can go with the flow for it.
So did that all help you mentally prepare?
Yes.
Really mentally prepared for what you were going into?
Yes. During EMV though, it was just like, I couldn't believe any of it, like, because we had, like I said, we had interpreters. They had their people, the only thing they would speak to us would be the dialect over there, which is Darcy, Farsi, and Pashto. That's the only thing they would speak. But we had interpreters that would actually talk back and forth, and then talk with our platoon leaders and everything, and like it was a live situation. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. I mean, this is what it's really going to be like over there, and it is right here in America.
Right.
So like I said, that was the most realistic training that I've ever had, besides being over there.
So okay, so you finished with the training, and then were you deployed then to Afghanistan?
We got done with the EMV. We went July 12th, 2011. We got back August, the middle of August, because within a week of us getting back from EMV, we were on the first thing smoking out. We left August 26, 2011. So that was less than a year. Like I said, less than a year of me being in the Marine Corps. I was already boots down in Afghanistan.
What were your first impressions of Afghanistan?
Well, at first we drove from Camp Pendleton up to March Air Force Base in Riverside, California. From there, we flew to Bangor, Maine. I'm not sure why we went there. Well, we stayed in the terminal the whole time. From Bangor, Maine, we flew over to Germany, and that's where we did our refueling. We stayed in the terminal there, but we got a couple hours just to stretch our legs and everything. From Germany, we flew over to Kyrgyzstan, and we stayed at Manas Air Force Base. I think we were there for 4 days, something like that. And then from Manas, we flew on a C-130 to Camp Leatherneck, and that was just a whole nother experience, because they lowered the ramp and you just see the mountains. And I think it's really cool because I was the very first one out of I sat in the very back of the C-130. I was the very first one out of my whole company to have my boots down in Afghanistan. So I think that was a big accomplishment for me, because out of everyone, I was the very first one. But just going there and seeing, because like I said, it was Camp Leatherneck was 500,000 of Americans. I mean, there was Army there was Navy, Air Force, Marines. So we really didn't get to see what it was like out there. So I'm just thinking, well, this ain't that bad. Well, we go through the first couple of days, BZO our rifles and everything, and then they're like, hey, pack up, you're going to your FOB, your forward observing base. So we load up in our helicopters, and we're not in the air for 2 minutes, and we could feel the helicopter shake one way and go the other way. Staff Sergeant Treco, my platoon sergeant, he looked back and he's like, hey, we just got shot with an RPG twice. Welcome to Afghanistan. And I instantly started sweating. I was like, oh, we've not even been there 2 minutes, we're already getting shot at. So when we finally land, we landed in Habib, was our FOB, called Habib. And I go up to one of the posts, I'm just looking out, and we got a mountain range, or a mountain ridge that goes this way. there's a big old mountain over here. You can see there's another fob about a click up north of us, and it's just like, wow, this is home for 7 months. And it's really crazy because I'm reading a book right now called The Outlaw Platoon, and when you're changing positions from one company to another company, or another unit to another unit, going to a fob, they call it a rip. And in that book, they're doing a rip at the very beginning, and that's when the Taliban hit them hard. And thankfully, when we were coming in, we didn't get hit. When we did a rip with 2-5, there was we had a bunch of mass casualties. They just knew, because it's bad to say, but we were leaving, so we were getting real relaxed, and the new unit was coming in, and they didn't know what to expect. Well, here we are telling them, oh, nothing's happened in 7 months that we've been here, and all of a sudden they get hit hard. But when we first get there, we were placed 3-2 out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. You could just tell that they were ready to go home. They weren't wearing their gear on post. I'm not trying to knock them or anything, but they were just tired of being there. So we do our time, and then I'm trying to think of. As we're there, we're there for a month. Nothing happens. So I end up moving. They end up wanting weapons throughout the other platoons, because, like I said, we have 1st platoon, 2nd platoon, 3rd platoon, and weapons platoon. Well, they don't use weapons. They weren't using weapons over there. So they dispersed the weapons platoon throughout the other platoons and made a 4th platoon. 4th platoon mainly consists of the weapons guys. But then they decided, hey, we want to start using our weapons guys. So I ended up getting moved from 4th platoon to 3rd platoon, and we were on top of Panda Ridge, which was the ridge to our west. And so I ended up going on over to Panda Ridge. That's one platoon I didn't want to go to, was 3rd platoon, and I ended up loving every guy that was in that platoon. So we're up there, and it's still not. We haven't had anything. They found a couple IEDs, but that's really been about it. It was towards the end of October, I believe. I was on the phone talking to my wife at the time, and all of a sudden an IED went off. And we had sat phones out there connected through the satellites. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I have to go. And one down over at Griffin, which was the fob that was right across from Panda Ridge, that was north of Habib, one of our MRAPs hit an IED. No one got hurt, but I mean we couldn't be on the phone at the time. A little bit later, probably 2 weeks later, they find an IED. Well, they go up to look at it, and one of our EOD staff sergeant Dunning, they found out it was a pull string. So he went up there with his robot, but he didn't use his robot. He went to cut the string, and as he went to cut the string, they pulled it, and it killed him. So this is the first, a month and a half in, and we're finally starting to see how kinetic it gets. Well, not only did that happen, as in the weight room up in Griffin, they found a M67 fragmentation grenade that was attached to a water bottle full of gasoline. They think it was one of the snipers left it out, and they did it, but why would we try to kill our own guys? What they really think is when the ANA, the Afghan National Army, or Afghan National Police, they set it up. So right there, that tells us you can't trust, even though they're on the good side, you still really can't trust them. So we get told, hey, you're breaking down, you're moving over to Nowzat, which was weapons company. So we break down from Panda Ridge, go back to Habib for a couple of days. We get on a bird and we go west to Nowzat. We get to Nowzat, and he was a gunnery sergeant, and his name was Gunnery Sergeant Blanco. He starts telling us about the area and everything, and before we know it, we become mounted. And well, we're going south, and we call it the Triangle of Guilt. We stayed there for 18 days. We took contact for 18 days straight. When I say took contact, we were getting fired at constantly for 18 days. We call it the Triangle of Guilt because there was three villages. We had Mama Kerez, Mishmash Kerez, and Balrang. And as we were coming through, Balrang started shooting at us immediately. So we get to our little fob that had no cover. I mean, it was just walls pretty much. They took mortar fire and a disco round 2 days before that we got there. So it was us and Cat 1. So they start telling us about what they've been experiencing while they were there. So we go into Mama Carez, and that was every time we got fired at, it always came from Mama Carez. We go through, and I'm not sure what the date was, but it's the day I hit my first IED. We were mounted in a convoy. We were the third or fourth vehicle back, and our gunner on the turret, he starts saying, "Hey, Sergeant, we have two guys following us. They both have weapons strapped on them. Hey, you can't fire unless they engage you first." So he's turning the turret around and he's watching them. Behind us, we have the A and A&P guys. They're not doing anything. So we're driving, and boom, we hit an IED. And I have all this recorded on my laptop, and I don't know how it happened. I don't know if our driver got off path, but there's 3 vehicles in front of us, and it was our back left tire that hit the IED. I don't know if it was a crush box pressure plate, or like I say, he just happened to clip it right, but it blew our back left tire off. And I was sitting on the driver's side back. I hit the top of the MRAP, and then threw me back and hit the back of the glass, and the glass is probably about that thick, and I cracked the glass. That's how hard I hit it. So I'm dazed, and we're still taking contact and everything. And me and my buddy Shelton, we both have to use the bathroom. He was like, "Hey, Sergeant, we got to pee. Can we get out?" He's like, "You know we're taking contact, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, if you guys don't care, I don't care then." So we get out, relieve ourselves, and as we're coming back to our truck, Captain Trammell, our company CO, he started yelling, "Hey, get that mortar gun up," because we could see exactly where they were shooting at us from. So we run back to the truck. We jump down this little ditch, climb up it, and grab our mortar system and run back. We have the gun ready, getting ready to drop around. He says, "That's too far. You can't shoot." And it's like, dang, because there's not been a mortar round shot, a 60 round shot like that, probably a couple years over there. So we thought we were getting ready to get to do the first. So he says, "Break the gun down, put it back up." So we put it back up, and after we jumped down in that same ditch again, put the system back up, jumped down in it again, came back up. We were going back to sit back in the truck because Sergeant Abrito told us, he's like, "Hey, we can't shoot. Just go back, get in the truck." He jumps down that ditch again, and as he jumps down in that ditch, he steps on an IED. They call it a little toe popper, because that's exactly what it did. It opened up. This is his foot. It blew his toes off pretty much. And I was right behind him when it happened. It knocked me back. I was so shocked because, like I said, we just came in and out of that ditch multiple times, and the A&A and the A&P guys, they were standing right there the whole time too, and none of them happened to be one of us. So I'm rocked, and they come up. Our corpsman, Doc Green, comes up and he puts the tourniquet on. They get him morphine. They get him out of there. And then.
How'd that make you feel?
Honestly, I thought it should have been me, because I was the first one out of the truck. I was the first one to jump back down, and then he happened to be in front of me that time, and I felt like that should have been me. That should have been my foot that got taken off. So I was confused. That's the first bit of actual blood that I had seen with my own eyes. I was so confused. I didn't really understand it. Well, we have called it as a MACE exam. I'm not sure what it stands for, but I had a real bad concussion, so I couldn't leave the wire. They wouldn't let me leave the fob, so I stayed on post. Well, a couple days later, when they leave, Captain Mack, he stepped on an IED. So they cordoned them off and everything, and they were sweet. We have what we call CMDs, combat metal detectors. That's what helps you detect this carbon rods that were in pressure plates. Well, Lance Corporal Miller, he was our lead sweeper, and he was taking a knee providing security, and they called him, "Hey, Miller, we need you to sweep out the area for LZ, for the bird to land." As he stood up and turned around, he stepped on an IED. So we had 2 casualties within a matter of 5 minutes of each other. Lance Corporal Miller and Captain Mack, they both run the same medevac bird out of here. So they got them out, and I just remember seeing Sergeant Alvarado come back carrying not only his gear, all his gear, We had Lance Corporal Miller, all his gear, and all of Cap Mac's gear too. So we had 3 combat loads of gear, and that, I mean, a combat load itself was probably close to 100 pounds. So not only did he have his, we had 200 other pounds of extra gear on him. And I don't know, I was so upset because I couldn't have been out there. I could have been out there helping, but I really couldn't because they wouldn't let me leave. So we get back to Nowzad, and I'm still messed up. They won't let me leave the wire or nothing. So they make me, once again, just stand post. Well, to the north of there was a bunch of landmines, but they were trying to find them so they could get rid of them so they could start planting. Well, there's a mass casualty. It was not only just A&A guys, but it was local nationals. They one guy, he sat on a landmine, and in a matter of probably 15 minutes there were 6 casualties brought through the ECP. And I was on post 5, and I could look down right into the Humvee, and I could see every bit of it. There's a guy who took shrapnel and took off the side of his head. And the thing is, he didn't die from it instantly. He was still alive. He ended up dying in our BAS, but it's just like, people shouldn't live through stuff like that. Like, so we ended up getting done with our stay over in Nowzad. Well, before we go back to Habib with our company, our original company, we were told we can't leave because there's been 2 casualties from our company, and it's a freak accident. We had these 2 telephone wires that ran through our fob. They've been out of power the whole time we've been there. I remember when we first got there, we'd walk up and just hit it as we walked by to go fill up a generator or something. Well, Lance Corporal Cochran, he was filling up a generator, and I guess as he stood up, he ran into it and it killed him. Well, our SOG at the time, Corporal Bateman, our guy who was on post 2, he called over to the SOG and said, there's a Marine down over here. I don't know what he's doing. It looks like he's just laying down. So he comes, he assesses the situation, he realized he's been killed. Corporal Bateman's 6'6". As he stood up, hit the back of his neck on that line and decapitated him. So we have 2 freak accidents in our fob, and no one knows how to react to it. Like, it's just shock. We already had, for those 2, we already had Staff Sergeant Dunning, and we had a sniper get killed. So right there's 4 deaths in our battalion, all 4 coming from our company. So we get stuck over in Nowzad for a couple days. They won't tell us who it is. They won't say anything. Well, when we finally get back, we find out who it was, and then on this happened January 15th, 2012. On January 31st, there was a casualty over in Nowzad, which was Weapon Company, who we just came from. His name was Sergeant William Stacy, and I'm not 100% sure on the story. I heard 2 different things, so, and I mean both of them are believable because he was that type of guy. If you look on YouTube, you can see he's got his they call it his just in case letter, and they're reading it, and it talks about if he's killed over there, don't mourn his death, just know that he died allowing a young local national the chance to go to school. He was that type of guy. He was his 6th year in the Marine Corps, his 4th combat deployment. He was your role model Marine, whatever we wanted to be. Well, he ended up getting killed January 31st. So 2 weeks after Corporal Bateman and Lance Corporal Cochran were killed. This is the very end of our deployment. Like I said, we ended up coming home March 27th. So this is the very end of our deployment. Morale's down. Well, we finally start finding out 2nd Battalion 5th Marines, they're in Leatherneck, so we know we should be ripping with them soon. Well, as their first couple of birds come in, boom, there becomes a mass casualty just north of where we were. And I remember being on post 2 and telling the guy, hey, we've been here for 7 months and there's been nothing has happened here in 7 months. And just north of Habib was Griffin, like I said earlier. Well, just north of there, they were trying to build an A&A post, and no one has ever been up there. Well, the Taliban was right there, and as soon as they started building that post, the Taliban started whacking off the A&A and A&P. And as it was going on, like I said, that was when 2-5 was ripping with us, and I was told nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, you start hearing all these gunfire to the north of us, about a click and a half north of us. and all of a sudden, boom! All these vehicles are coming back down south, and they're just the A&As, Humvees, full of casualties. Not just the A&A, A&P, but young kids, the adult that the Taliban are just shooting because they were showing their dominance. So that was 2-5's first experience over there. And then after we left there, 2-5, I read about 2-5. They did a lot of good stuff over there. But as we broke down and gave it to 2-5, by the end of their deployment, they broke down and gave it over to the A&A and A&P. Well, within a month of them breaking down and giving it over, the Taliban had took it back over again.
A lot of action.
A lot.
Yeah. So, other than the probably concussion from that event, did you have any other injuries?
I actually had 4 concussions. I was blown up 5 different times. December 28th being the last time I was blown up, and we had 2 IEDs in that one day. But that was really the only injury I had from it.
And how, just if you could put it in just a few sentences, looking back on that time period, how does that, how do you reflect on that? How does that make you feel, having seen everything that you did?
I look back at it now, wishing I would have done more than what I did. If they, like I said, if they told me I'd go back right now and do it over again, I would in a heartbeat. It's just experience that it's hard to explain to someone that's not been there or don't know. So.
Yeah. Okay. So, as you came to the end of your active duty in Afghanistan time, you transitioned back to where from there?
Coming back, it was really hard for me because I used to not be gun shy at all. Now, a door could slam shut and I almost jump out of my skin. I remember when on my second deployment when we were down in Australia, my Staff Sergeant Frank, he told me, "Hey, Bush King, they're getting ready to start shooting the machine gun." I said, "Okay, got that, Staff Sergeant." They started shooting and I almost had a heart attack. And I knew I was right underneath the machine gun hill, and I knew it was getting ready to happen. So coming back it's still, to this day, it's still really hard on me. People don't understand; they think it's funny, and I'm telling you, it's like you can't do that to me. I mean, it's not funny to me. But they just seem to laugh. Like I said, they don't understand because they've not been there. So they're talking to other veterans that had the same thing. They know about it. It's a lot easier, and it's easier to cope with when I go and talk to them about it.
So, you served, a total of 4 years?
Yes.
Okay. And what was it like when you were transitioning out of military service into civilian life?
It was real hard. I actually, as soon as I got out, it's probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks after I got out, I went and talked to the National Guard and the Army because I thought I needed to get back in because. At first, like I said, I couldn't stand it being unstructured. Like I was used to know what to do, be told when to do it, and everything like that.
What awards were you awarded, or what medals or citations were you awarded while you were in?
Everyone gets the National Defense Ribbon. That's the red and yellow ribbon that all the branches get. That's what you get for joining. After you've been in your unit for 90 days, they call it rate. You rate the Global War on Terrorism ribbon. From there, I got the Afghanistan Campaign Medal with a Bronze Star on it, and then the NATO ISAF Combat Action Ribbon, which just says that I've seen combat. Purple Heart. Man, there's one more. Oh, Sea Service Deployment Ribbon. That just says that you've been overseas. And I had a star on it because I've done 2 deployments. So, Sea Service Deployment Ribbon with 1 Bronze Star.
So, You might have said this at the beginning of the interview, but what kind of friendships have you maintained since your time in the service?
Lasting friendships. Like, there's a bunch of people if I called them right now, if I needed something, I know they'd do it for me in a heartbeat. And it's just, I remember when I was in high school, the guy who took pictures for our paper, his name was Smitty. He was in the Marine Corps. He was in Vietnam, and he said the closest friendship you'll ever get outside of a battlefield is being on a football team. Being on a football team and being in battle, it's a lot. He wasn't joking. It's some of the friendship there it's unbreakable. Just going through it together. They called it embracing the suck, because I mean it sucked, and you went through it together. I remember one time we were up on Panda Ridge, and with the wind chill, it's probably negative 20 degrees. I looked at Corporal Jaggers. I'm sitting there shivering. I was like, Corporal, this sucks. He's like, yeah, it really sucks if it was cold out here. And it's just little things like that I mean, like I said, you're going through it together, and you're knowing that you're not the only one that's miserable, that other people are being miserable with you.
So after you were home, what did you do? Well, first of all, how was it? How was your family when you got home, coming back?
They were excited for me to be around more often.
Yeah.
Because at first I was only home 2-3 times a year, and then me being home all the time. I mean, they were real excited about it.
And what did you do then when you were home? And did you take a job or education? What is it you did?
When I got home, I took a couple weeks off, didn't do anything, just enjoyed being free, and I went and started working through this warehouse, pretty much unloading bicycles off of semis. And it was probably one of the easiest jobs I've ever had in my life.
All right. Well, if you could think back, what is one or what life lessons did you learn from your service?
Definitely be a man of integrity. It's called the 14 leadership traits. They call it JJ Did Tie Buckle, and integrity is a big one. And I'm big on it. Like, if Staff Sergeant Galvez, he was the first platoon sergeant I had when I was in SOI. He said, "There's no one that can jeopardize your integrity but yourself." And ever since he told me that, I mean, I got to thinking about it, and it's true. Some other person can't say, "Oh well, he didn't do this, he did that," and it'd be true. But you're the only person that can jeopardize whether you be faithful and truthful or not. So integrity, I'd say, would be my biggest one.
What would be the most positive thing that you took away from your experience?
Being a leader. I mean, I was a captain of the football team. I was captain throughout sports in high school. So being a leader would be one of the biggest things I've taken from it.
Is there a message you would like to leave for any future generations that might hear or view your interview?
Yeah, if you set a goal for yourself, you can achieve it. Like they say in the movie Annapolis, to achieve you must believe. If you don't believe you can do it, then it won't happen. But if you believe with the whole heart, you can do it.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time to participate in this interview and tell your story. And thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you.